Hello, beautiful strangers, and welcome back to another episode of Crimson Gray. When last we left off, well, Lizzie was saying some things that, well, it seems a little bit unsettling to me, or a little bit disconcerting, but what do I know? I know that things don't work quite so well as they ever seem to be, and things don't seem well. Also, I should point out, I have rearranged my mic a little bit so it's in a much more comfortable position for me, but I've had to kind of mess with my various audio levels and settings, so I apologize if it sounds weird. I'm kind of experimenting with stuff. This current position is pretty significantly more comfortable, but especially since I don't have a pop filter right in front of my face. But it's also a bit, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, it also seems to, if I move my head in a certain way, it's really easy for me to peek my mic. So I'm going to try not to do that. Anyway, well, what should we do? Should we raise the issue bluntly, indirectly, gently, or just try to distract her romantically? We have three okay options and, well, the obviously bad option. But I think we're going to raise the issue bluntly. I don't want you to kill her. You're my girlfriend. She's just someone in the same class. There's no competition between you. I don't like how she looks at you. Seriously? She wouldn't dream of dating me. She's just being friendly. I don't like that either. Well, I don't have a choice, but if you just wait and don't hurt her, she'll go to a different class soon and then she'll be gone. If you do try to hurt her, it will only cause problems. It could only make something come between us, you understand? Well, that's all I had to say. I trust you not to do anything, Lizzie. Do you trust me? Of course, John. I trust you completely. Good. Let's schedule another date for sometime soon, okay? Okay. She smiled at him adoringly as he left. John felt better about the situation until he got home and his mood crashed. He honestly had no idea if it was a premonition or just depression. Either way, he went to sleep and stopped thinking for a while. Several days later, there was an incident of food poisoning in the cafeteria. He wasn't there at the time, but everyone heard about it from the teachers. Several students got sick, and one died, his lab partner. That day, Lizzie was with him almost the entire time. She never slipped off like usual. It was nowhere near the cafeteria at the time of the food poisoning. To get a bit of water. But that day, she brought lunches for both of them. It was something she did frequently, but it still stuck in John's mind and he couldn't let the issue go. The death changed the atmosphere of the school entirely. Students who were excited about graduating were now somber, a terrible pall cast over everything. There was a large investigation, and the police seemed more grim than a simple case of food poisoning warranted. Not only that, but they brought with them first food inspectors, then scientists from Koitek. But in the end, there were no charges. The school received a minor reprimand for carelessness, and new cafeteria guidelines were implemented, but nothing changed. Except he had a new lab partner, and Lizzie seemed purely happy again. John, you look serious. What are you thinking about? Another choice. And, well, someone died, and there is doubt in John's heart. So, here's a question. Do we answer honestly? Do we express regret over the death? Do we express excitement about our graduation? Or do we just not say anything? Well, let's, I guess, answer honestly. The girl who died. It's just so strange that even though everyone ate from the same line, only a few girls got sick. I heard they were all sitting together. They were the ones who had the bad food, right? Maybe. Do you think I did it? Didn't you? That's so silly. I told you I wouldn't do anything, didn't I? Yes, you did. And of course I wouldn't do anything. Now eat your food or it will get cold. From that moment on, he didn't think much about the issue, but he felt a grim certainty that it had been poison. The worst part was, he didn't change anything. He and Lizzie kept dating. She was a murderer, and yet he took joy in her presence and let her pick him up when he was depressed. Did that make him an awful person? He wasn't sure. And in moments when the world seemed entirely gray, he didn't care. The school year got away from him a little. Despite everything he'd been through, John found himself returning to something like a routine. He and Lizzie managed to act like a normal boyfriend and girlfriend. The occasional romantic date seemed to go a long way towards keeping her calm. The sky looked very gray to him, but he felt lighter than he had in a long time. On occasion, he still headed to the library to look up more about Koitek, see if he could find out more about Lizzie's condition. It wasn't going terribly well. All he had to go on was old microfilm and random ideas, which was part of why he brought Lizzie, but she seemed uninterested. Eventually, he sent back and he just shook his head. Maybe we're just not going to learn anything. Would that be bad? Maybe not. I've always wanted answers, explanations, a way to put things together. But when I get depressed, that didn't work. Chemicals and social structures and trends. None of that really explained it. Things just happened. Maybe this is like that. Maybe we don't need to worry about exact answers. We can just live our lives. I think that's a good way to think about it. Actually, that reminds me of something I've been wanting to ask you. It's about the county fair. Was that what Lizzie had been meaning to imply, that she had been more physically affectionate ever since they'd had sex at her house, but never tried to take things that far again? But over the next several days, she didn't act any differently and seemed to just look forward to it with innocent anticipation, so it felt awkward to bring it up. And the longer he didn't mention it, the stranger it got. Lizzie met him at the edge of the fair, shifting from foot to foot eagerly. Her face lit up when she saw him and immediately turned to meet him. Oh, you're finally here. This is going to be so much fun. Honestly, I haven't gone to a fair in years. Oh, I think we can find some fun. Besides, the important thing is that people will see us together. What? Dating doesn't really count unless a guy's willing to go to the fair with you. Guys don't talk like that? No, but I guess let's have fun. Let's go see what all they have. For a while, they just wandered, checking out all the attractions. Since the fair was still getting started up, it was easy to grab some food and cotton candy, which Lizzie happily fed him pieces of while they walked. Thinking about what being there meant for him, John realized that he didn't mind. After what he'd stuck with her through, this was nothing. Couples had broken up over more trivial things. He just hoped the worst had passed and the relationship would be smoother from here on out. John, it's starting to get a little too crowded. We should pick something popular before the lines get too long. Sure, what do you want to do? Oh, is that a knife throwing booth? Wouldn't that be fun? Maybe something else? Or the roller coaster? That has a line. That already has a line. It must be popular. Yep, the roller coaster sounds good. They got in a short line, which would put them in the next group to ride. While in line, John actually spotted one of his classmates, currently with his arm around his girlfriend. They waved to each other, but they were too far apart to say anything. Judging from his classmate's raised eyebrows, though, he was expecting more than just a ride. When the roller coasters came back, they strapped themselves in near the very front. Lizzie looked excited, but kept glancing at him. Honestly, roller coasters had never really been his thing. He enjoyed the wind blowing through his hair, but he didn't really feel any rush of adrenaline. Meanwhile, he doubted Lizzie got much of a rush out of it, but she at least seemed to enjoy herself a little. But afterwards, she said she needed to go to the bathroom, so he was left waiting for her nearby. You two, huh? Girls. Hi. Blew your chance on the roller coaster, man. What? When girls get scared, that's your chance to move on them. With their hand first, arm around them, and you're halfway there. Well, I don't think she was scared. I lost, man, and seriously, it is. That girl might be crazy, but she's hot as hell. If you don't make a move on her, I might. I mean, almost anyone looks good in our school uniform, but she really rocks it. Those tits gotta be the best pair in school. What I wouldn't give to motorboat those Hello, John. Holy shit. Hello, Lizzie. I see boys were talking about something important. Maybe we can be off? Yeah, sounds fine. Yeah, I thought I was gonna die. He worried that she might be upset, but Lizzie seemed more amused than anything. Once they got some distance away, she glanced at him shyly. You like them too, John? What do you mean? Yes, you're very beautiful, Lizzie. I don't want to be just beautiful, though. Come this way. She dragged him into a narrow alleyway between two stalls. A little ways down, there was a closed-off space in between several of the temporary stalls. Surrounded on three sides, the sounds of the fair seemed softer. He became aware of how alone they were as Lizzie slid off her jacket. I never even dream of looking at him, John. I only care about you. That's the one thing I can say I'm never worried about. Good. I know I can be a difficult girlfriend sometimes, but I want to show you that I can be nice too. He leaned back against the wall, needing a moment to catch his breath. Lizzie seemed to have no trouble fixing her shirt, then rising to give him a hug. Wow, that felt amazing. Good, I liked it too. Maybe we can do more of this sometime. The cold air forced him to step away from her soon to get his cock back into his pants before it froze. Still, he felt warm, and not just in a sexual way. Soon they headed out of the back alley, and John felt like everyone must have noticed, but no one even seemed to look at him. It hadn't even taken that long. His classmate and his girlfriend were just now getting off the ride. It looks like his classmate had done exactly what he'd planned. Now, pawing at his girlfriend, she gave a strange little laugh, but didn't stop him. But John didn't really care about them. The only girl he cared about was beside him. Lizzie seemed to be watching them, though. John, do you dislike all murder? What are you talking about? If I knew something and I could stop it, would you want me to? Yes, of course, Lizzie. Is something wrong? Can you buy me some cotton candy? I promise I'll be right back. Lizzie, you can talk to me about anything, right? I don't want you to look at me and be afraid. With that, she vanished, moving away at surprising speed and disappearing around a tent. John blinked, stunned by how fast the evening had turned. Had he done something wrong? Or was something seriously terrible going on? He felt like he should have at least stopped her from leaving, but he doubted he could have. With no way of following her, he decided to do what she had asked and get in line. It was a pretty long one now, so he waded through it. Yet he got closer and closer to the stand without Lizzie reappearing. Eventually he had 2 cones of cotton candy and was left standing there. He was vaguely conscious of the fact that he probably looked ridiculous with one in each hand, yet that feeling was overwhelmed by a sense of growing concern. And that was when the police showed up. They seemed to come abruptly, sirens wailing, uniformed men and women moving through the fairgrounds with grim expressions. Anyone who asked him what was going on was told to stay back. With them, John realized there were a number of others dressed in unmarked clothing. No, unmarked body armor. They were armed like some private army, yet he didn't see any signs of who they were from. Increasingly uncomfortable, John gathered with the other fairgoers. They were clustered around a woman who seemed to know what was going on. It was horrible. The boy was just opened up, like a wild animal had attacked him, but the police were saying it looked like a knife did it. Wait, who died? I don't recognize him, but it was a boy about your age. There was a girl with him, and her throat cut right open. One of the policemen made a call, and next thing I knew, they moved away and everyone showed up. They wouldn't tell me anything else. Feeling sick to his stomach, John stumbled away from the group. He stared at the brightly colored cotton candy for a while, then dumped it into the trash can. What's going on? He didn't want to think Lizzie could have done it. but he knew that she could have. But what she had said... "John?" The whisper made him look around wildly, but he didn't catch a glimpse of her. Instead, he began looking around desperately for any shadow where she might be hiding. "I'm sorry I was too late. I underestimated what she was." "Lizzie, what are you talking about?" At the moment he spotted her, a slightly different colored shadow behind the building. When he rushed over to her, she didn't run. "John..." Though she'd tried to wipe herself off, there were lingering streaks of blood all over her hands and shirt. John stared at her, realizing that she held her hand to the side to hide something from him. He knew what she was gripping. "Lizzie, did you do this?" "No, please believe me. I would never kill anyone I would kill anyone for you, but I didn't kill him." "Him? What about her?" "She was the one who did it. I tried to stop her, John. We can't stand around talking. I'll explain if you want, but we have to get away." He just stared at her, wondering if he could believe anything she said. He didn't want to believe she would have murdered both of them, but he knew she was capable of it. "John, please, you need to come with me right now." Now he could see for certain that she was holding her knife. It trembled. No, her entire body was trembling intensely. Ooh, do we run to the police? Do we help her hide? Or do we help her escape? Well, I think this calls for a drink. Tasty. Tasty, tasty, tasty. Also very dry, which I like. But anyway, this is the last choice of this specific route, and I think we're gonna have to, we're gonna do the smarter thing and run to the police. I say smarter, but well, who knows. Letting out a choked sob, John turned and ran. The instant he did so, a flood of terror burst forth inside him. He looked back over his shoulder, but Lizzie wasn't chasing him. Instead, tears were streaming down her face. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Officer, you have to help me." They took him into protective custody as soon as he arrived. When he tried to ask questions, he was ignored. He did manage to sit, and they gave him a cup of hot chocolate, as if that could help. He sipped a little and didn't taste it. Then he heard shots fired. Breaking away from the police near him, John sprinted towards where he heard the shots. There were even more now, and screams of pain. Then he stumbled to a halt and just stared. Lizzie lay dead, knife fallen from her hands. She was surrounded by the bodies of several police officers and security agents. All around him, people were screaming and running and crying, but those sounds became more and more distant with each passing moment. When they came to get him, he couldn't even hear their questions. He sat numbly as they took him away and tried to care for him. He thought he was given food, medicine, counseling, but none of that reached it inside his inner self, which still stood over the field of bodies. Even that sight was starting to fade, though, overwhelmed by an endless gray, until there was nothing else, and it was over. And that was that round. I think that one is called Alone. Let's see. Yep. That ending is called Alone. And, well, it is a little bit of a shorter episode. I don't want to start on the next route and end it in 5 minutes or so. So next time we're going to start our way down the next route. And, towards the next ending, rather. And, well, I hope to see you all there.